The next panel that we're having on stage is exploring how brands are reshaping the narratives, leveraging digital and physical ecosystems, and crafting experiences that resonate authentically, not just to sell, but to emotionally engage, building loyalty and spark advocacy in a world of noise. Before I invite next panel on the stage, I'll request everyone in the room that if you want to converse further, for sure, we have a lot of questions, a lot of doubts. Either we can take it outside the room or we can take these conversations later. So we can invite the next panel on stage. Once again, a request to everyone, we'll please settle down before we invite the next panel. Joining us on the stage, ladies and gentlemen, with deep experience in brand strategy and retail storytelling, we have our moderator, Dr. Hitesh Bhatt, Director, Marketing and Communications at Retailers Association of India, and Editorial Director, STOrai Magazine. He's uniquely placed to steer this conversation. I'll request Dr. Hitesh Bhatt to please join us here on stage. Everyone, I think we'll have to put our hands a little more louder before all the panelists are going to join us on the stage. Can we do that? My God, the energy is amazing in the room. So why not, let's do one thing. I'm going to just grab the microphone and disturb you a little. I'm sure you're going to hate me after the day, but let's give it a try. Can we all stand up once? Everyone. See, I can see the please like again. Oh. One more time. Why? Everyone at the back, if we are going to go ahead with the conversations, it's a request. Either we take it outside the room or we can settle in and have those later. Thank you so much, everyone, for standing up. Can we sit down? You're going to honestly hate me for this, but stand up. Can we say hi, hello to the next person, maybe a high five? Just to make sure everyone is awake. Thank you everyone. Let's please settle down, take our seats. Also, we have a lot of seats in the front. If you want to shift, specifically whosoever is sitting at the back, to make it, of course, a little more kinder to the room and to panel who's going to join us on the stage. If you want to shift to the front seats, please feel free to do so. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned, we'll request the panelists to join us here on the stage. We have Akash Koparkar, Vice President, Relaxo Footwear. Akash Srivastava, Chief Development Officer, Non-Yum Brands, Devyani International Limited. Amit Jawar, Head, FMCG Business, Patanjali Foods Limited. Bharat Sethi, founder and CEO, Rage Coffee, a dynamic entrepreneur who has built a strong DTC and omni-channel brand. I'll request my team to coordinate if we have all the panelists around in the room. Gyan Srivastava, Brand Head, Devo Siaram. Harsh Hari Modi, CEO, Malmal. Ritesh Rathi, President and CEO, CityCard. Nitesh Singh, co-founder, Blue Tea. Siddhant Gupta, founder, Chic. Umair Mohammed, founder and CEO, Get Nitro.
Good evening, everyone. So today I'm sitting with the most distinguished leader in all the places, I'll say. From FMCG to the D2C perspective, we have everyone here. So today's topic is about like how storytelling is creating difference in the world nowadays. In terms, is it? Oh. Right. So we'll start with Mr. Harish, and so we'd like to understand, like, as a brand, when we talk about. So Harsh, sorry, yeah. So Harsh, if we'll talk about in terms of how story defining is creating difference, since when we talk about Malmal, it's a brand which has a focus group approach, and they're a different audience altogether. So how you work as a brand toward the storytelling part?
For a luxury brand like ours, it's very important that we tell the story of what goes behind each and every product that we are selling. क्योंकि कोई भी हम collection बनाते हैं तो उसके पीछे एक बहुत thought process होता है, and जब तक वो thought process customer तक convey ना हो, and customer uske saath resonate na kare, tab tak you are not able to deliver the 100% experience. So it's critical that the story is told. For example, the upcoming wedding season is around the corner, so we are coming out with our summer wedding range. So the whole campaigns will be designed around summer wedding, the photo shoot. And we also, while designing, know that okay, our customer would be wearing this particular outfit at what kind of a function. अगर वो फंक्शन वैसा होगा तो वो किस टाइप का फंक्शन अटेंड करेंगे. इवन वी गो टू द एक्सटेंट कि जो हमारे शूट का कैंपेन का डेकोर है, what is the kind of weddings they would be attending? Are they aligning? Can they imagine themselves wearing their malmal outfit in that wedding? So that's what we start with, because to be honest, today, every second day we see a new brand coming up, offering different products, maybe not the same quality, but same looking things at 1/4 the price. So till the time you're not able to sell the complete story, it's impossible to sustain. So that's how we do it.
I'll agree with you, Harsh, because as I had the brand Devo, it is by CRM, it's occasion wear, and we are very much resonate when it's come out wedding. And as a men's focused brand, this part of storytelling helps a lot. So coming to Siddhant, since Siddhant, you are handling a brand which is presence online and offline both. So how come the storytelling helps you in terms of the transformation, what has happened, like from online to offline? Every has a different audience. And definitely the customer who comes in the store, the experience will be very different from the online. So how does it help you that way?
So hi everyone, my name is Siddhant Gupta. I'm the founder for Chic Clothing Company. We make festive pretwear for women. And we have about 70 stores across the country and in Dubai and Singapore. And we also have our digital platforms through our website, and we're also available at Shoppers Stop for our distribution channels. So sorry, we missed the introduction, so I'm just giving them a perspective. Yeah, so to your question about, whether, how do we channelize online and offline together and control storytelling? So, we live in a very, very omni distribution channel world right now for our brand, wherein, the customer probably discovers us on the Instagram page, which is the digital platform. They can choose to buy it online through the website, or drive to the store and buy it offline at our store, which she'll be assisted by a store manager, which would also be physical. So it's very difficult to differentiate where the customer will eventually land up. So you need to have a very, very cohesive sort of a marketing method to be able to control your customer through and through. So, every touch point, every message that you send to your customer, every WhatsApp styling tip, or every boutique visit should just feel like one. And all your touch points need to talk the same language. So that is very, very important. Irrespective of what your storyline is, somebody can be a mass brand, somebody can be a premium brand, somebody can be a couture brand. Your storytelling can differentiate, be differentiated as per your brand requirements. But what I'm emphasizing on is how you need to control it in the whole journey. I hope that answers. I hope that answers your question.
Definitely, Siddhant. So Siddhant, after that, I'd like to come to Amit on this part. Amit, how does it helps you in terms of talking about FMCG sector? Because Patanjali is a well-known name in the market, and people from all the ages are using it nowadays. How does this helping us out?
So I'll give a brief about myself. I've been associated with CPG companies from last 15 plus years. Since we are speaking about Patanjali and consumers, I'll explain Patanjali. We have 3 channels to reach to consumer. One is our typical Patanjali mega stores, which you all would have seen in the markets. Then we have our own Arogya Kendra and Chikitsa Kendra, which helps us to understand the pulse of consumers, what they want and what they eventually are looking forward to. And the third is the typical distributive channel where we reach, or we reach 1 million plus stores directly. Now, the most important thing is that you need to understand what does the consumer need and how do you want to evolve it over the time. So, I represent a brand. Every day morning, 7:30 a.m., there are multiple consumers who themselves give a story to India that why they were using Patanjali products and what improvement that brand has given them. So that itself gives us that amount of trust which a brand wants to bring in the storytelling, first of all. Second, now explaining about how important it becomes. Because see, earlier it used to be simple 4 P's of marketing: product, price, promotion, place. Now it has become more of a convenience. What is brand doing a conversation with the consumers? What more content which brand is bringing about? And these are eventually evolving. The more you are closer to consumer, it helps you evolve much faster pace eventually. And then eventually, the last goal which any company would love to have is a purpose-led marketing. If I speak about being Swadeshi, that gives me that far more important roots which I am getting associated with as an India as an organized country. So that brings in that purpose, that brings in that content, or maybe the consumer story, and then brings eventually the evolution of marketing for an entire organization from the FMCG perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amit. Umair, as a tech person, storytelling comes to you in a different way. So definitely all the people sitting here are using it, but you are the people who are enabling it in a more way, in a different way. So when it comes to you, data, the integration of messages and the communication become quite a complex part sometimes. So how does you are helping, and how does you see it as a topic?
Hi everyone, my name is Umair and I'm the founder of Nitro Commerce. We're building India's, an alternative to Google and Meta because we realize that it's the advertising industry has been duopolized by primarily YouTube channel. If you ask half of the people sitting here or all of the people sitting here,
Talk about it.
it will be like a big pain for all brands, and that's what we are trying to aggregate. Everything which is non-Google, non-Meta, we are trying to aggregate, and so for us, we currently work with about 2,500 plus D2C plus retail brands. And some of the big names, for example, BlackBerry Clothing or Puma, or large D2C brands like Dot & Key. And I think the storytelling aspect of it is where the meat is, how they say it. Like this is where so in the age of AI, where content creation is not a big challenge, you are only left with stories. So the only way to kind of bring your brand over and above and get the message across is by telling your story. And if the more authentic it is, we have seen better results. So the first part of it, and like you said, I think it's a very complex problem because it's audience, their need, their intent. I can show you a Mercedes-Benz ad, and you might be like a perfect person to buy Mercedes as per the cohort. But I can hammer you a Mercedes ad 15,000 times in 5 days. If there is no intent to purchase, you will not. But maybe if your intent was there to buy a car, not necessarily Mercedes, and Mercedes told you a story about how good they are or how safe they are and how it's the luxury segment, you might consider it. So I think these are the two things that we focus on, that how does data help in figuring out who is going to be the best customer for you, and then telling your story in the most, and like I think Siddhant said, every touch point, whether it's retail, whether it's store, whether it's marketplace, whether it's their own online store, is an opportunity to tell that story. And so you need to figure out who that person is, what is their intent. So identity and intent, the entire thesis of Meta's advertising engine is built on just these two things: identity, who that person is, and their intent. And if once you have that, then how cohesively or coherently you can tell your story in a manner that it resonates with their need, right? And I think that is the most, we see that as a huge aspect. And in fact, we see that that separates extremely successful brands to not so successful. Sometimes people will be struggling, they're not able to grow revenue, they're not able to have the kind of growth that they had in the past few years. And so we always tell them that your story has to change, it has to move forward as a brand as well. Your customers have changed, their needs have changed, their personas have changed, right? And so your brand story also has to move forward. So I think this is what we try to enable using data as much as possible. Obviously, at the end, the brands and the brand managers and the agencies, they play a huge, huge role. But we help as much as possible.
Thank you so much, Umair. So coming to Nitesh. So Nitesh, when we talk about, and when we were discussing about the storytelling part, you are a person who started something with tea. The most commonly and the generic thing what we start in the morning with. So it's quite an important element for most of us. So how this is helping you nowadays, because you are only on online channel where people interact with you. In fact, the engagement becomes quite difficult sometimes because the reach is also limited sometimes. So how does storytelling redefining your journey nowadays with this part?
Hi, I'm Nitesh. I'm CEO and co-founder of Blue Tea. We started this brand in 2018. It's a wellness beverage brand, and we are offering natural, good in taste, and functional beverages. So when we started this brand, इंडिया में टी के बारे में सबको पता है. उसको समझाना कि टी क्या होती है is very difficult. So when we started, we thought कि चाय के बारे में बताने से अच्छा is very important कि what's the functional benefit of this particular product. So जब हम शार्क टैंक पे गए थे 2023 में, so what we pitched, first we came on Shark Tank, first shot, मोटापा भगाना है, ग्रीन टी पी लो. So स्किन अच्छी करनी है, ग्रीन टी पी लो. बाल नहीं आ रहे, ग्रीन टी पी लो. तो क्या सिर्फ ग्रीन टी ही ऑप्शन है और कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है? So that's how we started कि हमने एक स्टोरी बनाने की कोशिश की कि still now people are consuming green tea. So there's knowledge of green tea. So we tried to make a story around of it, and that's why, because of that, a lot of people know that Blue Tea is a Shark Tank brand. So storytelling is evolving. When we started, it was more about green tea is bitter, not good in taste. It has caffeine. We said we are caffeine free, good in taste. But what happens now, I think we are living in a very connected world. Previously, what happens, brand has a vision, they think they have to communicate, and they used to communicate. Now it is evolving so fast. Now audience, influencer, your consumer, your community, all are part of the storytelling. They tell you, boss, you have to add this thing also in your storytelling. Initially, we were just saying green tea is not, we are the better alternative of green tea. Later on, consumer told us, boss, by consuming this, we solved our bloating problem. By consuming this, we solved our sleep problem. So your product is not just for health only. You should focus more on wellness issues, and started focusing on, and we started getting more traction. So in present world, it's very important what customer is saying, and we have to evolve with the customer. And I want to add further. Nowadays, apart from storytelling, you have to get share of voice. That's the most important thing. And I love Zomato as a brand because somehow they get share of voice. So in present generation, it's very important that as a brand, you have to tell your story, but you have to get the share of voice. So yes. And then I want to say that storytelling is evolving, and you have to take customers, influencers, while making your story and communicating to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nitesh. So, coming to Ritesh. Ritesh, City Card is a well-known name nowadays, and since you are scaling up different places and expanding everywhere geographically as well. So how you are creating the storytelling which is integrated in a way that's became a standard, people know the real-time things, and experience is becoming quite a crucial part. And where it comes to city card, it's altogether different experience and altogether different expectation from the customers and around. So how you use it up in terms of your profession, your business, to scale it up further?
Thanks. Hey, I'm Ritesh. I represent CityCart. CityCart is a value fashion retailer having 154 stores, primarily in UP, Bihar, tier 2, tier 3 towns, though our presence is in 10 states, and we are expanding. And as I mentioned, we are in tier 2, tier 3 towns. We are connecting with the story of aspiration of consumers, right? Everyone wants to live better. Everyone wants to live fashionably. Everyone wants to celebrate more. And that too with the value consciousness which is there in the towns and then within our customers. That is something which we have to win. How do we win and how do we communicate this story? So one of the things what we normally do and what we normally debate is that what is the life story of a consumer? So every consumer has a story. A story in the sense there are events in the life. So it's a daily office going is an event. Attending a marriage is an event. Attending a function is an event. So there are so many events out there. And we believe in being the store of the community. And being a part of that community, what we do is that we plan our assortment, our offerings, our visual merchandise around those events and celebrations. And that is the theme of storytelling what we take. So for example, if it's the wedding season, so then the assortment will be more around the wedding apparels, fashion, and it will be more with a theme of Lagan, what they say in UP and Bihar primarily. That is the wedding theme what we do. And if it is Diwali, it's a very different thing. And if it's a back to school, it's a very different theme. But what is important for us is that every aspect of the store should speak the same story. And that story should be around that same central theme. So be it around the entire show window, around the assortment what we are offering, around the product and promotions, around the WhatsApp offerings and the communication what we do through digital media. Everything has to be tied up, and we stand and we really love to partner up with our customers and being a part of their story so that our story becomes much better over a period of time.
Thank you so much. So, Siddhant, question for you here. CityCart happens to cater a different ground altogether. And when I talk about maybe Malmal or Cheek, has a premiumization where people talk about more in a different way. So how you create a balance in between where storytelling becomes the standardization part, and it's also creating an experience for the customers who is looking for a premium experience in a way, and how you're keeping it apart, because these two are different formats altogether. So having a complex situation in there.
Didn't understand.
Sorry?
I didn't understand clearly.
Okay, so I'm saying that in terms of two different verticals, online and offline, how this is helping you in terms of creating a standardized part of it, since having a positioning of premium. So how you cater your customers in that way? The storytelling helps you in terms of gathering more customers, new customer acquisition.
So, yeah, so, delivery of content digitally turns out to be way cheaper. So that, you create content. So for example, you create a really nice campaign shoot for your upcoming season collection. Like, I always say that India is the land of festivals, so you don't know what to choose from. Right now we're going to approach, say, a Black Friday or a Christmas or a New Year's and then a Lodi, and it's going to go on. And so you have to choose your events very carefully. But supposing you end up making a campaign around one of these events which you choose, delivery of the campaign in this day and age is economical only digitally, in my view. And then, like I said earlier, that whatever your brand might be, whether premium or whether mass, that particular communication gets delivered to the customer during that time, and the customer resonates with it digitally. And offline, your visual merchandising comes into play. How your merchandise is displayed totally changes the perception of the brand. For example, something as simple as how many garments you hang on your rack also defines the premiumness of your product. You know, if you have like 20 products or if you have 10 products, so you have to figure out what works for you in that sense. So since we come in the premium category, I'm a slightly more premium mass. Harsh here would be more premium than us. So, you know, again, the whole communication would be different for both our brands. And it's made to suit for our brand.
So nowadays, more of the influencers marketing and every storytelling is also creating a part. So is that something the same which also helps you in a way of creating more defined way of reaching to the audience?
Yeah, definitely. So influencers are there to influence, and they already have an audience that is hungry to see their content. And if you, of course, if you partner with them, it always helps in creating the right content for the brand, and pushing some marketing money behind them after creating the content gets you better ROIs. So marketing for me is always, you know, content creation and pushing out the content. So say for typically content creation should be 25% of your marketing budget, and 75% should be the pushing out of that marketing. So it can apply to your digital channels or your billboards or your print media, whatever. So recently we had hired Malaika Arora as a brand ambassador. So we use the same metric for those kind of expenses. So whatever we spent on engaging her for our brand, we ended up spending 3x of that onto pushing out her content. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Siddhant. So when I talk about Malmal, it goes to you, so Harsh. So the experience of a customer also comes with the kind of store what we have designed, and layout becomes the most crucial thing. Story always evolves around that. So how does you are taking decisions when you talk about a new store layout or a concept what you have to form? Is that something also where the story evolves?
Absolutely it does. I would say अगर हम देखें कि इंडिया के अंदर कितने luxury brands create हुए, तो we can count on our fingers. If we leave the designers, because I don't consider them as brands. So if you leave the designers out, we will be able to count the number of brands, the premium, real luxury brands that have been able to scale to a decent level in India and that have come out of India. So we need to ask ourselves कि ऐसा क्यों है? Why is it that India is not producing as many premium brands in such a large country? So I just feel that it's a game of patience, because if you're creating a premium brand, if you look globally, hundreds of years की legacy है उन brands की. That's why they are where they are. Let's say an LV or a Chanel or a Dior, they have 200 years, 100 years behind them, and that it's the kind of time that took for them to reach where they are today. So it's a game of patience, and in today's day and age where we are talking about very fast growth, it's a very contrary view. So it really depends ki what is it that you want to build. So at Malmal, we are very, very clear that we want to take each step as it comes. For example, we are 25 stores, all company owned, company operated. We do not do a franchise because we want to control the customer experience till the end. But India के अंदर हमें problem आ रही है कि अब premium markets ही exhaust होते जा रहे हैं, because there are not too many markets where we have this premium audience and the brand placement sits and we are not there. So, but we are fine waiting out. You know, it's not that कि ठीक है मेरे को इस साल 50 store खोलने ही खोलने हैं. Last year we opened 5 stores. The year before we opened just 2. So it's about the right opportunities coming along. I don't know how many of you have visited our stores. अगर आप लोगों के पास time हो तो we have a store here in Ambience right next door. So we are very, very particular about how we do the fit out of each and every store. We invest heavily into every store. Just a funny story. Abhi, I was talking to one of my contractors for a new store, and we were discussing कि जो furniture है वो teak wood में बनेगा. तो he said कि ये तो मैं पहली बार सुन रहा हूँ कि कोई retail में teak wood का furniture लगा रहा है. So I said, that's what the brand stands for. You know, like we do not like to compromise on anything. अब customer walk in कर रहा है, उसको नहीं मालूम कि ये teakwood furniture है. But somehow, when the whole thing comes together, then you experience the premiumness or the luxury that you are surrounded with. So these are very small things, but together they all come together to make a difference and an impact. Same for our garments. I would say everything depends on the product itself. You create a beautiful environment, but आपका product में quality नहीं है या up to the mark नहीं है, तो फिर obviously it falls flat. So we are vertically integrated. We use the finest cotton. We use Supima cotton for our cotton fabrics, which I think almost nobody in the country is doing when it comes to ethnic wear. So it takes a lot. Like I said, it takes perseverance, it takes patience, and it takes a long-term vision to create something premium like Malmal.
I'll quite resonate with you here because being from the same part of it, occasion wear, ethnic, it's something what always takes patience. And वैसे भी 6 महीने बाद ही बिजनेस आता है हमारा तो वो पेशेंस अलग तरह से काम करता है हमारे लिए. But in a way, if I'll say what you're saying is very right. Every metal of the store speaks something. And the experience what is created, maybe the consumer doesn't know what kind of metal or element what we have used, but it's more about the vibe that comes across, the ambience what it creates, the experience what it dwells with. It all matters to them. और आज के टाइम पे हिंदुस्तान में हर जगह पे जहाँ पे 100 मीटर पे कहानियाँ बदलती हैं, लोग बदलते हैं. एक्सपीरियंस को स्टैंडर्डाइज करना उतना ही बड़ा एक क्रूशियल पार्ट बन गया है जितना हम देखते हैं कि कस्टमर स्टोर के अंदर आया उसको एक्सपीरियंस कैसा मिला. So coming to you, Hitesh, on this. Hitesh, as we're talking about tea, so tea is quite different when I was telling and you were telling about it. How does you create your product when you talk about going beyond the experience? Because एक online channel के साथ जुड़ने के साथ आपको दिखता है customer के साथ जब आप बात कर रहे हैं, we are interacting with them on a forum. How does this help you in a way to create a product, and how does you create those kind of product?
So first, our experience starts from the color of tea. So when we started this brand, there was a traction. First, for us, it was traction that color of the tea is blue. So at least people will talk about ki kya hai ye. So there can be some story. We can tell some story. So first experience starts from that. And over the years, for us, major has been the color of our teas. We have different kind of colors in our teas. We try to maintain that most of our teas should have some color because people start to resonate with that color. And for us, that's a primary experience on you can say initial days. So now customers tell us that this kind of issue we're facing. So we try to make different kind of herbal teas which are caffeine free, natural, should have a good taste, and they should look good. Because if someone holds a glass of blue tea, it should mean something. It should mean that it's a class. And I should brag about it that I am drinking blue tea. It should not be like green tea. I don't think people say that मैं तो green tea पी ले यार, मैं तो green tea पी रहा हूँ. और लेकिन बस people who drink blue tea, they tell others that I am drinking blue tea. And that's the power. We are a bootstrap brand. We haven't raised anything, but we have created a category with our own money. Because there is something we bought for the consumer which has a story and people are liking it. So that's why story has a great power. Just like Mahabharata, Ramayana, still in the people's mind because there's story to it. For us, it's the color which is story for us.
Thank you so much for that. Coming to you, as in terms of Patanjali, when we talk about it, Patanjali has a different kind of emotional connection with the audience across. I was just saying at that same time. So when you talk about in terms of data, analytics, thought, with supply chain, everything has to be connected in terms of creating more business expansion, going towards different verticals. How you are defining your business nowadays? How it is evolving and expanding in the current scenario?
So first of all, I think just to add, I think Patanjali, I don't know, most of you know, योग ऋषि का नाम है. जब इन्होंने 2005 में बनाया होगा, they would also thought on similar lines, why do you need to? So yoga was the brainchild. They were promoting yoga, and eventually Swami ji and Acharya ji yoga promote करते थे. Yoga के साथ they eventually went into Ayurvedic thing. What were the things which we wanted to promote? So that's gone. That's just to continue from where I think Nitesh ended. Now coming to, I think, sir, from an organization where you reach roughly around 1 million stores and we have 1,000 plus SKUs, it becomes very important for you to quickly turn around things which are going on. Because in FMCG space, I think time is the essence. If you have not reached, suddenly some other competition would have clicked that. I will give a classic example, I think, with my previous experience. Britannia would be leader in a biscuits industry. But in a premium chocolate bakery, dark fantasy, where ITC leads it disproportionately, because they would have entered first mover. So here first mover also plays a significant chunk of role. Now this is where you need to get multiple data sets. One, what consumer needs, which we get through our stores or maybe from Arogya Kendra, Chikitsa Kendra. I'll give a classic example with this, since we are discussing this with an example only. Shampoos were pretty simple shampoos earlier. Over the time, this shampoo got converted into solution-based shampoo. Hair fall, anti-dandruff, और उसमें 4 चीज़ें जुड़ती गई. Same was with skin care. It became very difficult. So now people are not looking for products as a products. They are looking for a solution-based product. Typical for oral care category, it has moved up from a typical oral care to a typical solution-based. You can have a freshness in morning and you can have a Ayurveda-based in evening also, so night also. So these are typical solutions which have been evolving in the FMCG industry. And you have to be very quick to judge what consumer needs. That's one thing. Second is the turnaround time which you need to have. Sometimes a large organization or maybe a large ship has to take significant churn of radius to turn. But with all this startups ecosystem had made us also fightful and understanding what we need to do. We ourselves have created different small groups into the organization. What we'll be doing with the supply chain, a quick supply chain, a agile supply chain, a agile marketing, agile packaging. Where do we need to run upon? If it is a cow ghee which we sell eventually, where do we need into an A2 cow ghee, a Bellona cow ghee, multiple products? So that's where we quickly work upon, find solution, do testing, move out, immediately launch it, see success, see failures, then eventually rejuvenate, a new brand comes out of it. And that's how this ecosystem runs much smoothly, sir. That's it.
Thank you so much, Amit, for solving it, because supply chain with FMCG is quite complex. And coming to the part where City Card helps us in different kind of fashions. So how supply chain helps you? Because supply chain algorithm and technology current evolving, there are multiple channel what has come forward. Umair was telling one of it in terms of creating channel where they engage with the customer. But when you talk about the different geography, what you handle, so how challenging is that for you?
See, technology and supply chain are the backbone of retail. That is how important it is. Now, the more time you spend on the supply chain and fine-tuning it, the better the outcomes and the results will be. And again, as I mentioned, that you have to pre-plan everything, and then implement. So plan the work and then work the plan. So supply chain is that important. And when we're talking about the entire brand story, as I was mentioning, so suppose if it's a Lagan season for us, right, then better the stores have a good supply of good fashion wear, blazers, suits, etc., which are there very relevant for us. Some good amount of shirts, saris, etc. should be available. But when it is Holi, then the switch has to move and it has to go to whites and maybe some kurta pajamas, etc. So you have to really plan your supply chain around those stories, what you are trying to build. Second is that when we talk about stories and all, so for example, my merchandising team, they are living in 2026 right now. Now for them, they are preparing their storyboard for the entire summer season is done. Right? What will be the color theme? What will be the color palette? What will be the assortment? Everything is done now. So what they do now is that they just are going out in the market, developing the products, and ensuring that they hit the DCs on time. And along with that, when they are hitting the DCs on time, we need to dispatch it at the right time to the right stores. Second aspect which is coming in supply chain, and as we are diversifying across, while UP and Bihar have got a lot of synergies, But when we are going, say, in Odisha, so in Odisha, Ganesh Chaturthi is a big festival. So there are certain stores where Ganesh Chaturthi is big. Now we have to resonate with the customer and we have to plan around that as well. So that is the element, and unless and until you make those changes in your entire supply chain, entire planning, and keep on listening to the store, the front line, that okay, what are the customers seeking? What do the customers celebrate? How do they celebrate? How do they live their life? That is how this entire supply chain planning has to be done. And that is something which I would say, again, I'll repeat, it's a backbone of retail. You can open fancy stores, you can open and you can train the best of the people, but what customers get satisfied with will be the merchandise, the right product at the right time with the right price.
I'll say that's a quite right thing. What usually matters in the business. So Umair, coming to you, handling and managing multiple business and verticals are very different. So how you are creating that kind of transparency and the data validation where we talk about authenticity of the storytelling, what you are telling us, the real time and the real time is something which always contrasting. So how you are managing that part?
So I think a lot of times, especially in digital businesses, what happens is people are looking for, and this term was coined by Facebook's team, it was called ROAS, right? Return on ad spend. And I think that became like the North Star metric for everyone. Okay? But essentially, all types of storytelling or all types of advertisements or content creation does not necessarily have an immediate ROAS attached to it. You cannot measure in T plus 7, T plus 30 days, because sometimes, so what we try to do, especially in terms of data, is try to measure something we call incrementality. And incrementality is a study over a course of time of how certain parts of some activity that you did. It could be like a BTL activation, it could be a new online campaign, it could be retail hoardings that you took, or a new type of advertisement. And it will reflect in data. It will, eventually. It might not turn out to be an immediate impact, but it will. So sometimes, like, for example, brands run influencer campaigns. And influencer campaigns might, they look at it and it's like, it's not giving us the ROAS that we expected. But when you look at from an incrementality standpoint of how your brand searches grew, how your overall organic traffic grew, we always say this, that it's not one or the other channel that moves the needle. It's everything at the same time. So as a brand, you have to keep on experimenting. You have to keep on adding new channels to the mix. You have to keep on doubling down on things that are working. But you also have to take a slightly longish view in terms of what is bringing incrementality to that business, right? And it becomes difficult, I'll be very honest, especially D2C businesses, which are digital businesses, it's a very clear outcome approach because everything is measurable. But for retail businesses, it becomes a very big challenge. Sometimes because how do you measure a billboard performance to walk-ins and walk-ins to conversions? And how do you equate that these walk-ins happened because of this billboard? There is no science to it. If there was a silver bullet, then everybody would be using it. But I don't think there is a silver bullet. So you have to take a step back and do certain experiments, right? Over a period of time, certain experiments, and you have to keep on measuring what gave the result. And scientifically, it is possible, but it's only up to 70-80%, matching that you can do. But at the same time, I think taking a slightly longer view and slightly more nuanced approach to that these are going to bring in results, and you have to be patient about it. And I think we talked about patience. It's a very underrated, especially in the advertising world, because we face this every day when we go and talk to large retail brands, and they were running a different type of advertisement, say, yeah, we got the digital business got ROAS, but we never how do you and so one such example we did with a company that sells iPhones, right? With a retailer that sells iPhones, and we measured it, and eventually we said, okay, every phone number. So we did this experiment with them. We said, okay, every phone number that I show an ad to digitally, I will track it, but you have to give me access to your entire data. And then I will track the people coming. I will track how many WhatsApp opt-ins you got, but I also track conversions. We eventually said about 100 iPhones were sold on a weekend that we were running, so which is more than 1 crore worth of sale, because iPhones are priced at 1 lakh something. But it was extremely hard to do. And we had this full support of the brand. So we have to work together to kind of see that incrementality of the business. I'm not saying it was because of that campaign, right? But sometimes you have to run these experiments, run these campaigns, and measure it not by a last click or last this thing, but you also have to measure the impact on the business overall in a 2 months, 3 months, 6 month cycle. So I think that is what we tell brand, that you need to do all of this, and you also need to be patient, and it's going to give out results, and results always compound themselves, right? So compounding happens over time, but you have to be patient about it. And I think this is the biggest lesson that I have learned over the last 10, 12 years of my retail e-commerce journey, is that everything compounds, but you have to be essentially very patient with it.
Quite true, I'll say. And so coming to the last question of the session, what is the next frontier? What is the next big thing, what we see in terms of happening in the market, in terms of redefining the storytelling is one, but going towards the future? So this is a question for everyone. So if I can have a one-line thing starting from Amit on this part. Yeah.
The future would be, we should think consumers as co-creators. That is one stuff which I strongly believe into. That the moment you start what your brand stands for, the purpose, what is the story behind any product which you want to launch, and start thinking consumers going forward will be a co-creator for your brand. That would be the winning mantra for any organization going forward. Thank you.
As per me, if I just go forward, one is that keep the customer as the center point of every decision that you make. And that is the way we should move forward. And if any organization has to really grow big and have a loyal customer base, they need to keep them at the center, at the heart of every decision, and live to that. And then find ways for your ROIs, for your ROCs, etc. But the point is that basic needs to be there. And as regards customers will be spoiled for choice. Customers will be spoiled for choice. They are spoiled for choice. And what customers will look into is that an organization which serves their needs with a purpose, is fair and transparent with them, they will go by that customer, by that retailer.
Over to you, Hitesh.
What we are seeing with Gen Z, Alpha and Beta will come, they look for more authenticity. So as a brand, your storytelling has to be very authentic. Because they should not feel it is inorganic. They should feel it is very authentic. If that is the case, they will certainly connect with the brand. So for me, it's authenticity.
I would say that it's very important that we believe in the India story. India is the future. The markets are booming. If your business is not multiplying, then you'll have to self-introspect and see why it's not happening, because the markets are out there. Second, consolidation will happen. A lot of new entrants are coming in, but I see consolidation will happen because not everybody is geared up to compete in the market. And finally, I would say Omni is something that we are witnessing in terms of marketing. Everything is going Omni, be it Meta, Google. They are able to drive footfalls to offline stores as well through their digital media. And very soon the algos will take over, and we would be just pushing creatives, and they would know whether the customer is going to convert online or offline. So Omni is something we are very, very bullish on.
So the future for retail would be, in my view, is that data would be used to understand the customer, but to connect with the customer, you need to use your intuition. So there's always a human touch required to, talk with the customer and encourage the customer to come to you again. And building deeper connections with the customers through, micro-targeting or, building deeper relationships rather than just more fancy stores and larger stores, getting getting them into your pipeline in a more aggressive manner is the future, in my view.
I honestly don't know the future. I wish I knew, but what I can tell you is that the point of discovery is going to fundamentally shift, and it'll move more towards AI, more towards need-based, where people will be able to ask an AI to figure out, the best 5 sneakers, for example, and just select one of them and buy it, maybe inside or maybe directly from the brand's website. We will see, and I think the brands will need to adopt, because a lot of the brands that we talk to are heavily marketplace dependent or heavily dependent on one particular channel. So diversification on channels, but also I think we need to figure out how we get to be one of the recommended brands by the AI. And not just that, I think on the customer side also, the entire customer experience over the next 5 years, about 80% queries will be handled by AI. So whether it's sizing problem, whether it's product issue, refund, cancellation, returns. So how do we, as brands, figure out our next path for those next 5 years as to include more and more technology, but I think at the same time, what Siddhant said, that there will always be a human touch, a human element to it. But I think the world, and I think Gen Z also, they're more accustomed to chat. They will ask questions over WhatsApp. They will ask questions over the channels that are available to them. So I think a lot more AI, a lot more discovery is going to happen through it, and also a lot more customer experience. We'll see a huge amount of AI being deployed in the entire customer value chain.
Thank you so much, Umar. Thank you so much, everyone. So we are now going to open our session for the audience. If we have any question from the audience. So I think there's no question from the audience, and we'll close the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for caring for the insight knowledge.